in the Huddle with your host, Charles Ritchie, here on the Mass Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Roney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker, Michigan.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to this edition here of the Mass Steel Podcast with, of course, yours truly, Charles Ritchie. I just want to apologize, everybody, right now. Sorry for the delay right there. Just having a little bit of some streaming issues to start off the show just a moment ago, but we are on track right now. First and foremost, like I said, if I have not stayed all week, remember prayers, love, and deep prayers for all the people who are suffering worldwide in this COVID-19, the coronavirus, as everyone is feeling some real pain right now, and hopefully everyone's recovering greatly, staying at home, being safe, practicing social distancing, and that's about it. But for right now, I just Googled earlier, before the show started about an hour ago. Right now, sadly, as it stands, over 21,000 deaths worldwide. And this is according to google.org/crisis response /COVID-19-map. In case any of you guys are wondering, I'm sure some people have seen it. Had over 113,000 recovered, and cases per 1 million people, 66. As far as in the U.S. goes, people who are in the U.S. right now, we have about 929 deaths, 393 recovered so far. So again, if you know anybody close to you who's in the medical field, who's a nurse, paralegal, doctor, or anyone that's just doing their best to assist anyone a helping hand during these tough times, make sure people are getting the proper treatment. And boys, everybody need it right now. Like I said, it is some sad times right now, and I just want to make sure everyone is having some closure. I know it's not the popular thing to be doing right now, but I tell you what, staying at home right now, doing a lot of things, it definitely gets you to think on a lot of important things, reevaluate some things in life. Again, just with that being said, again, welcome to this edition of the Mass Steel Podcast here with yours truly, Charles Ritchie. I am also host of On Deck on Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. The last two Saturdays I have not been available, obviously, due to the coronavirus. I'm going to try and see if I can fix something maybe this weekend. I'm going to see if maybe I can work my co-host. Well, I have Reese the Ruler, who's usually hosts alongside me on Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. And maybe he could we could try and do something remotely together, maybe from our homes. I'll keep you guys posted on that. There's a lot more things important aside from the world of sports, but since people do love their sports, and the NFL has been proving to move on with their star free agency, of course, with the biggest thing being last Sunday, when you think about it, on March the 15th, or March 14th, excuse me, where the players voted to have the CBA moved along, and you saw a lot where it's happening right now. But anyway, if you guys want to reach in, if you guys want to be a part of it, again, the number to dial in and text is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter at Prodigy Richie, at MassSteelCGR, at OnDeckCSR, Instagram at Prodigy Richie, at MassSteel Nation, at OnDeckCSR, YouTube live channel, MassSteel Podcast. And for all the latest podcasts for the MassSteel Podcast and On Deck, you can check me out on Mixcloud, Charles Prodigy Richie, Anchor, Spotify for right now, at Crunch Time with Charles Prodigy Richie. And let's get started to some of the news that has been breaking down since the start of free agency, as more particularly relates to the Steelers. Right now, as things just got underway not too long ago, as we looked at it, one of the very early signs, aside from about the pregame, a franchise tag for over $16 million. I mean, it's still to be determined if he's going to be able to get a long-term deal or not. A lot of people in the media are still kind of debating if he's on that level of a guy like a Mika Fitzpatrick or TJ Watt. I mean, a guy who, in many's perception, almost start to view, is this a guy who's just seemed to be doing well, all of a sudden lights out because it was a contract year. I think he's been very consistent. He's always had the tendency to start off slower. He just seems to be the guy that warms up as the season gets long, in my opinion. But when you look at the chemistry with him and TJ Watt now, especially what they've built the last few years, I mean, you can definitely see where it is going here. And I just feel like right now, I mean, this is a guy right here. I mean, I wouldn't. I had to argue against that, because if that was the case, why would the Steelers pick up his fifth-year option a year ago, where he played this past season? I mean, if he was really not in that level, clearly, obviously, the Steelers, they like to reward the guys who work their tails off, especially for first-round picks. I mean, too bad it's unfortunate what happened to Ari Burns, who definitely really did not prove to be a solid starter at corner. I mean, he probably only had one good year, but still, I mean, this is a guy right here who's a first-round pick for the Steelers back in 2016. Did not do enough to generate enough excitement, unfortunately. And not only that, I just think, a lot of people looked at it, they start losing confidence in themselves. I mean, the coaching staff had to make some shifts right there. You had to bring in some other guys in here, where it's like a Steven Nelson, to put pressure on him. Or it's like the safeties. I mean, one good thing we could say about the Steelers that has been positive about them, especially on their defense, has been their secondary, especially for being a team that's been, about number one in takeaways for a good portion of the season last year. And a lot of that stuff is still yet to be ironed out, but I still got to believe right now, when we put things down that wire right now, it's things gotta get better at this point in time. So again, I mean, let's see where it happens right now. But let's start off with some of the news that's been jarring off as those report today. We also looked at it too from Trib Live, Steelers reporter Joe Ruther, who could be followed on Twitter at Trib Joe Ruther, reported that Vice President GM of the Steelers and everyone in the organization, Kevin Colbert, are taking the backseat to free agency right now as they get ready to prepare and focus on the NFL draft. Can we still do some things further down the road? Sure, said Colbert. In the short term, I would say we're temporarily. I don't want to. We're out of business, but we're satisfied with where we are at this point. We'll continue to address it as it continues to unwind and we get deeper into our draft meetings. And you know what? I think that is the right thing to do right now. I think considering, because when you got a team who's find a way to get creatively, just to get above breathing room above the salary cap. I mean, where you had about a little over $3 million for the team right now, as we looked at it. I mean, this was a team who was pretty much $9 million under the cap. I mean, or over, I should say. I mean, they really had to do a lot of work to get them up. Right now, as we look at it, I mean, for everything that's happening, Right now, their estimated cap space for everything is currently $141,191. Estimated cap space when you apply the top 51 rule, that will be about $8.75 million when it's all said and done. So I mean, a lot of it too. I mean, you got like I mean, they're definitely doing everything they can to be flexible. Obviously, it's definitely pressing the cusp of being so close to it. But like I said, again, that's the Steeler style right there. I mean, when you got a guy like Omar Khan working alongside with a guy like Kevin Colbert, you'll find a way to get things done. And one thing they'll do, they'll always try and find a way to work with that salary cap. They find out a lot of great genius moves, I think, over the year when we break down and analyze things. I mean, bottom line. And I just think they keep a lot of stuff at hand and their tasks on the table as far as what they need to do. I just feel like right now the Steelers, they definitely do have a lot on the table as we took a look at it. But like I said, I think for right now, they are a team who's on a mission right now. Obviously, they still view themselves as contenders. I mean, you could probably be seeing a lot more people being let go. I mean, at this point in time. So I think that is definitely the right thing to do. The only thing is now it's in question right now if like the draft will be moved altogether. I mean, at this point. So I'm not so sure if that's more a mistake right now. But then again, I think for their sake, when you got like the breathing room that they got, it's probably okay to put like a little of a hold on it. I think right now, when you look at the biggest needs that they addressed, I mean, acquiring a guy like but Derek Watt, I mean, obviously, I mean, Roosevelt Nix did a solid job within his tenure with the organization. I mean, he did everything he could to be a good catcher out of the backfield and blocker for the running game. I mean, he was very noble, very, I mean, legitimate in my estimation. He made the Pro Bowl in 2017. I mean, this guy, I think, has been very consistent, reliable, and a lot in many more ways than you could ever imagine here. And I just think right now, when you sign a guy like Derek Watt, obviously, I think Kevin Colbert and everyone, and probably the coaching staff, Mike Tomlin, didn't really feel like he had much left in the tank. It was probably wise to just move on, considering with the knee injury that he had last year. He probably was starting to slow down. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the running game, as everyone is aware, not anything that you can expect to last longer. It's a reason why it starts to break down. Not that he's running back, but he's a fullback in this case. I mean, that's another thing that's kind of like a dying position in the NFL these days. You don't really see too many fullbacks like it was like back in the day of hard hitting 60-minute physical style football. And that's the bottom line, where a lot of people want to admit it or not. That's just the case of the matter. I mean, parts of it is it sometimes can be a cutthroat business, as someone once told me. I mean, especially with the Steelers, how they do things. But I mean, at the same time, it's business as usual. This is what they got to do. I mean, they definitely got to make sure they're cognizant, doing something they're not going to be hurting the team. They want to make sure to keep it in contention for a longer period of time. And that's how you see the Steelers operate. That's how the machine usually works in these cases 9 times out of 10 as we evaluate things. And right now, as we look at some other signs, just to recap right now with the Steelers, so far, I mean, starting off since the new league year, you also had the excitement of a guy like Chris Wormley, who actually spoke with Steelers reporter Missy Matthews. And here's what he had to say right now in regards to that, as far as how he feels about coming over from Baltimore to the Steelers. Take a listen to his response right here.
Chris Wormley, thank you so much for joining me, Chris. First of all, tell us where you are right now and how you found out about the trade making you a Steeler.
Yeah, so I'm currently in Baltimore in our current house. And I got a call from my agent the day that the trade went down and said, hey, you're going to be a Steeler. Definitely was shocked a little bit. I read something that it was the first time, I think, since 1998, maybe only the second time between the two teams that have done a trade with each other. So that's pretty special, but I'm just excited to get to Pittsburgh once all this stuff calms down and get to work.
And there you have it right there. I mean, this guy right here, I mean, and actually, by the way, too, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Wormley, I forgot to call out and give a big shout out. As a matter of fact, this. Oh, never mind. But right now, I mean, being a defensive tackle right now, I mean, for filling in for a guy like Javon Hargrave right now, who's with the Philadelphia Eagles, I tell you what, I think out of all the moves, like I said, I'll say it again, that's going to probably be the one that's going to sting a little bit because I really like Javon ever since his time here with the Steelers. I mean, being a third-round pick, I think he's did quite a bit on the productive side, no doubt about it. I mean, Chris Wormley right now, who's actually going to be going into his fourth season. He's a former third-round pick out of Michigan. So that's definitely a good thing right there. But Javon Hargrave, who, in my opinion here, when we look at it and we try to figure out what he did, I mean, obviously, he just like Wormley, he did not make a Pro Bowl, but at the same time, too, when you match these guys up, I mean, side by side, and take a look at their career, because even Kevin Colbert, he definitely had great appreciation for him, even when he was draft eligible. And you see a guy like Javon Hargrave and Chris Wormley right now as we take a look at the overall biggest differences here. I mean, you had Javon Hargrave. He had 22 tackles for losses in his 4 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A career high coming off this past year, 7. So 22 tackles for losses. He also had 22 quarterback hits. And you have like Chris Wormley for his career. I mean, who's only, like I said, in his 3rd season. I mean, going into his 4th season, he has 9 quarterback hits, 4 tackles for losses, and he's got 54 combined tackles, while Javon's got 168. So you see the biggest differences right there. It almost seems like he's edging him out in a lot of those categories right there. The only thing is, I think Javon, he's just been proven to be a more consistent starter, I think, at that front, considering the position, I mean, the style of defense they've been playing, being played as a nose tackle in the 3-4 defense. I just think he's just did a noble job. He is definitely going to be sorely missed. I just feel like if it's one I could like go back and take back and had to have a do-over, it'd probably be Javon Hargrave. That one be feeling for a while here. Again, if you guys want to leave your comments right now on the Men of Steel podcast page, just search Men of Steel podcast. And once you, if you like it, great. Just type in at Men of Steel Nation. That's capital M, capital S, capital N. In case you guys want to just tune in for next time. If you guys just want to just find it quicker that way, go right ahead. Like I said, I do stream live off of Instagram at Men of Steel Nation and my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast, and I edit this down, podcast it at the end of the shows on Mixcloud, Charles Pryor Richie, and then on Anchor and Spotify, and I believe Apple Podcasts, I want to say, is another one, but that could be Crunch Time with Charles Pryor Richie right there as we look at it for all the stuff here right now. So let's also look at some other news coming up with the Steelers as we look at to just recap everything too. Remember the Steelers draft position, just to recap. I know I mentioned this about a week or two ago, but remember the Steelers do got 6 picks altogether. Round 2, which would be the 17th of the round, 49th overall. Round 3, which would be the compensatory pick. That will be 38th in that round, 102nd overall. Then you also got 2 picks in round 4, 18th and 29th in those rounds, which be all together. We're going to be having 124th and 135th overall. And then you're going to be having a 6th round pick, 19th in that round, 198th overall, and then your 7th round pick, which would be the 18th spot of that round. Their final pick, 232nd overall. That's, again, where they stand at as they go into things. as we look at it for this time coming in here. As we look at, so there you have it, 6 picks altogether. I mean, biggest thing having is that compensatory pick. When you look at like a year ago, considering who they signed on the wide receiver side with the Steelers, and just did not come to fruition that year. But I mean, like I said, it was definitely interesting part. I mean, you definitely fought a guy like a wide receiver. I mean, who's going to be on here. I mean, who did not work out. I mean, when we look at it, I mean, it was definitely a big thing right there. And we looked at it. But like I said, Dante Moncrief, there we go. Just the name, excuse me. Just had a little bit of a struggle right there. But Moncrief, he thought like this would be the guy who's going to be having the big hands. It did not actually turn out come to fruition that way. It was just big disappointment right there. So I believe that the compensatory pick is definitely for him right there, as well as the fact with losing Le'Veon Bell. Remember, these compensatory picks have been going on since 1994. So 26 years of having this right now in the history of the NFL with these picks right here. And we'll see where it continues to grow trees moving forward as we look at it. But yeah, I just feel right now those are stuff to pay attention to. I mean, I was just a little bit quiet, like on the free agency spending, but again, I just want to hear your thoughts, your grades on how the Steelers did sign these guys in the offseason. Again, feel free to tweet me your thoughts on Twitter at Praj Richie, at Men of Steel CJR, on DeckCSR. And I'd like to hear your comments, feedbacks, and analysis, like how you guys see things right now as we continue to move along here in the opening drive. So let's move on to the next segment right now over here. So also, too, some other signings in this. Derek Watt, he officially signs a 3-year deal right now with the Steelers, as it was confirmed by today by Steelers.com. It was a 3-year deal for $9.75 million, which accrues a $3.25 million sign bonus, which 3.25 is guaranteed. He'll be having an annual average salary of 3.25, and this year he'll be earning a base salary of $1 million and a sign bonus of 3.25, while carrying a cap hit of $2.08 million and dead cap value of $3.25 million right there. And there you have it with Derek Watt right there. Just something to see about the Watt brothers lately. I mean, a lot of people are still fantasizing if like the Steelers should look into a guy like J.J. Watt. I'm not sure if that's going to be even happening. Like I said, I mean, pretty much. I mean, Kevin Colbert just put the kibosh on that. I mean, as you heard, I mean, with Joe Brother of Trib Live, and I mean, they pretty much. I feel like they did everything they could. I mean, up to this point, and it's just right here. I mean, yeah, that's how you gotta look at it. I mean, I think they did everything within reason to put this team in position. I mean, they had a lot of stuff going, and this is what they had to do for this moment in time. And that's how you try and make things work. When life hands you lemons, you make lemonade, and they sure made a pretty decent amount of lemonade right now so far. Also, another sign to note, too, you also got Stefan Wisniewski, guard right there, center guard, who's going to be more than likely replacing the now retired Ramon Foster, who announced his retirement at the beginning of last week on Monday. So, I mean, I think that was another huge signing that was surely needed to help anchor up the offensive line and protect Ben Roethlisberger when he does come back, because I think that is so vitally huge. Last thing you want to be having is Ben Roethlisberger come back, and you're going to be having possibly deal with some shakiness at an offensive line. You want to make sure you keep that unit keeping Ben on his feet even when he is back. I mean, despite no matter how much work he's been putting on that elbow the last few years, no matter how much pain he's been, last thing you need to do is start seeing him get more knocked around right there and put him more at risk. You got a 38-year-old quarterback right there. I'm not saying that Ben Roethlisberger doesn't keep himself in shape, but I mean, you can't honestly say he's on the level of a guy like a Brady or a Breeze where he can maintain a work ethic on a consistent level. Don't get me wrong. Can a guy like Ben Roethlisberger still perform? Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely wise to lock up a quarterback while you still feel like he is still decent enough to like lead you to the playoffs and possibly a championship contending team. You always got to take all those variables into effect right there. I know a lot of people were definitely kind of like a little disappointed. Like, why would you waste that when you get it on necessities? I mean, look at it right now. I mean, he's definitely restructuring. I mean, his contract, I mean, this year to try and help make some stuff move up. I mean, when you think about Ben Roethlisberger, when he did restructure his one deal, he did free up help the Steelers get up to like about $20 million. I got my good friend here, Alex Valario, real quick over here. Join me on Instagram. What's up, Alex? I hope you and everybody's doing okay. If you guys ever happen to see some other bars, if you guys are in Chicago or on the north side, they got some donations going on for a lot of bars and restaurants who are right now also feeling the pain right now. They got a link right now going on. Just want to share with you guys. Give me a moment, Alex, here. Pulling it up. Got some bars. People are going to be struggling with making some money right now, especially during these tough times when you got like pretty much most of the cities and states and parts around the world being shut down as far as business as normal. If you guys want to check it out real quick, there's a website he's got on a GoFundMe page. If you guys ever want to check it out, Durkin's Tavern Tip Jar, organized by Alex Valario right there. And make sure when it comes to Steelers season, check out Durkin's Tavern right there. The number one spot, in my opinion, right there. If you guys ever want to see a Steelers game right there, make sure you hit them up right there. Durkin's Tavern, in case you guys are wondering where they are located at. They're definitely located on the north side of the loop in Wrigleyville, Lincoln Park area. If you guys ever want to come down there, the address, if you guys ever want to go pay them a visit and watch Steelers games all year long, is 810 West Diversity Parkway, Chicago, Illinois, 60614. That's Diversity in Halstead. And I just want to commend you guys right there for people who are collecting during these tough times right there. And my continuous thoughts and prayers go out to everyone right here as we look at it. So also, too, real quickly, with Stefan Wisniewski, like I was mentioning, he signed a 2-year, $2.85 million contract with the Steelers, which has a $375,000 fine bonus, which that portion would be guaranteed, the $375,000, and an average annual salary of $1.425. In 2020, his base salary would be $1.05 million, and a sign bonus of $375,000, while carrying a cap hit of $1.24 million and a dead cap value of $375,000. Also, the Steelers had 2 more signings just recently, within the last day or two. They signed tackle Jaron Jones and defensive end Savon Walker to contracts. Details are unknown at this point in time. And also let's you're welcome, Alex, by the way. No problem. Like I said, hope you and everybody's hanging in there. I'll definitely make a contribution more later on myself too. Just did some for other people who are also around that area. Not just Durkin's, but it's called Bar One. If you guys are looking at it right now, that's usually ties in with Durkin's. Very great people right there, and fun times to hang around during football season, especially Steelers season. A lot of East Coast bars in the area, but for Steelers, go Durkin's Tavern, number 1 spot right there. Let's also take a look at some notes around the AFC North right now. You got Jeff Zrebiak, who's one of the Ravens beat reporters right there, who can be followed on Twitter. Jeff Zrebiak, who can be followed at Jeff Zrebiak. That's Zrebiec of The Athletic for the Ravens. He reported that the Ravens are expecting to sign defensive lineman Michael Brockers of the Rams, but it's taken longer than they had hoped. This is coming, of course, from Ian Rappaport, who can be followed on Twitter at Rapsheet. Team has announced all its deals, but there's been no announcement about Brockers. The holdup has been the results of the physical Brockers took, which is performed by an independent doctor. Obviously, a lot of things, I don't know if anything has to do with that, with the coronavirus. I won't be surprised if it is. But speaking of the Ravens, here's been their signing period right now. We're going to go over them, the Browns and the Bengals here in just a second. The Ravens, they sign period. I'm just talking about sign period. I'm not getting the releases. Since the start of the new league year, has been including signed defensive tackle Jihad Ward to a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. Cornerback Jimmy Smith to a 1-year, $6 million contract. Then you also had strong safety Anthony Levine to a 1-year contract. Details unknown, as well as receiver Chris Moore, who's in the same boat with Anthony Levine. No details yet on their contract to sign the contract. As far as the Browns go right now, they signed strong safety Carl Joseph to a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. Inside linebacker B.J. Goodson, details unknown. Defense tackle Andrew Billings to a 1-year, $3.5 million contract. Wide receiver Jojo Natson to a 1-year, $1 million contract. He was formerly with the Rams not too long ago. He was NFC champion with them. You also had cornerback Kevin Johnson to a 1-year, $3.5 million contract. Strong safety Andrew Sandejo to a 1-year, $2.25 million contract. And quarterback Donovan Olumba, no details as far as like if it's a 1-year or multi-year. Have no idea at this point. This is all coming from Spotrac. And then last but not least, we got the Bengals. Their signs include guard Xavier Sufilo to a 3-year, $9 million contract. Cornerback Corey McTire to a 1-year deal. Details are unknown as well. Wide receiver Mike Thomas to a 1-year, $850,000 contract, formerly with the Rams. Inside linebacker Josh Bynes to a 1-year contract. Details are unknown. Quarterback Mackenzie Alexander to a 1-year, $4 million contract. Strong safety Von Bell signs the contract. Details unknown. And quarterback LaShawn Sims signs the contract. Same boat as I just mentioned a moment ago here. Right now, Von Bell, details are unknown at that point in time. So make sure to stay tuned right now for that. And so there's all you have it right now for the happenings around the AFC North. Well, let's get into some fair or foul right now. Fair or foul topic number one. Do you guys see the Cleveland Browns as probably like one of the most improved teams in the AFC North? Here we go again. I mean, you look at a lot of the signs they just did recently last week. A lot of these have been a lot of 1-year deals, but I'm still at the tendency of wait and see. I mean, granted, they're still trying to add some more onto their offense right now. I mean, with what's been happening, but I'm still not a buyer into them yet, only for the simple fact because of mental makeup on the team. I mean, when you lose for so long, I mean, like someone once told me, when you have a lot of things going for you for such a long time, the mindset, if you're not careful, you kind of expect to have like not knowing the feeling of what it's like to win. I mean, think about it. I mean, you had a lot of people who suffer through that where it's sports teams for a long period of time. And this is just ever since, if there's anything one that I could point to, I don't know if you want to call it a curse or misfortune, but I mean, ever since having their team move over the ball more, granted, they got to keep the Browns' name in Cleveland, but ever since coming back and resuming their football team, it's just never been the same feel at all. And you wonder why. I mean that's just a fact of life right there. I mean, I just think right now when we look at it, I mean, it's just they have never got that championship feeling, probably other than LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, since he's been playing his time in Cleveland in and out, and then going to other teams like the Heat and the Lakers. I mean, the only other sports team he had in that city was the Indians right there. So you consider all that stuff right there. That has a lot to do with everything in my book. I mean, that's just who you got to count on. I mean, for that point in time to really carry the flagship for a town like Cleveland, like I said. So, I mean, those are some real fans right there. I mean, it was once a proud franchise. I mean, who won a multitude of championships back in the day, pre-Super Bowl era. But I mean, a lot of times I'm not willing to buy in. It's still wait and see for me. Baker Mayfield still got to show me that with the talent he's got surrounded around him at this point in time, that he doesn't fold under pressure. He doesn't get he doesn't melt down. Those are a lot of things to still pay attention to with this kid right now. I mean, let's just keep in mind too. Baker Mayfield, I have nothing but respect for his quarterback. I mean, definitely the mental makeup. He just needs to get locked down. But I mean, other than that, you give him some due time. I think this kid's gonna really do some special things. You never know when he can get rolling. Once he figures out he can start clicking. I'm not ready to give up on a guy like him. I think he's still got a lot of good potential for that franchise. Again, I just think, the mental makeup of the team, who he has surrounding with him, with a guy like an Odell Beckham Jr. and some other people around there, I mean, he just did not have the right chemistry. Character matters, like Mike Ditko said before, and I believe that's got to be a huge thing they need to look into. So I'm going to go foul for the Browns being the most improved team. It doesn't matter. I mean, if there's one thing I ever learned being a sports fan in my life, you never want to go off being known as paper champions. And I'm not saying they're being paper champions, but you just never know. You want to just prove you're a little bit more than that, and you could execute. You could follow it up in the regular season, get to a playoffs and win some playoff games. Those are the true makings of a champion right there. And I'm not so sure if I could really say that right now about that organization. They still got to show it to me, if you will. Also, let's get into one more topic real quick to close things out. I know yesterday was Peyton Manning's birthday, who actually just retired 4 years ago. Next year, he'll be eligible to get into the Hall of Fame. He definitely should be in his first ballot, no doubt about it. I'm not questioning that. But I think the biggest topic, a lot of things too, ESPN and ESPN2, I believe, was doing a special yesterday, and ESPN Plus, I want to say, on Peyton Manning. And of course, his documentary he's been doing with ESPN Plus, Peyton's Places, where he was going raw, legendary teams and legacies during the Super Bowl era. Made a lot of pit stops. So a lot of legends would include Mike Ditka, Joe Namath, and a lot more people around. And he just definitely did a well job. The biggest question was being broached was, I mean, do you consider him a top 5 quarterback? And if he is a top 5 quarterback, where does he rank on your list? Well, this was my list, I said yesterday. So I had, just to recap things, and I know people are watching me, might think I'm being a liar on this, but I'm going to tell you right now, yesterday when I put this up, so I put Tom Brady number 1. I'm going to give him the number 1 nod, followed by Joe Montana. Peyton Manning will be 3rd on that list. I mean, I probably put him a little bit higher, but the only thing is he's only one game over 500 in his playoff career. Then you got Brett Favre and John Elway. And I think Brett Favre, for the simple fact that he is number 1 in Ironman streaks. I mean, as a quarterback, when you take things in consideration, I mean, for that, I mean, Brett Favre, for a guy who played 19 out of 20 years as a starting quarterback, he played 20 seasons, but 19 of those was as a starter right there, starting with Green Bay and carrying that on to Minnesota right there. He did it with 3 different teams. I mean, even though he had that one brief 1-year stop with the Jets when he came out of retirement after announcing retirement after being knocked out of the Super Bowl, where they lost the NFC Championship game to the Giants. I mean, there was a lot of friction already being created right there with the Packers organization and the front office about what his future was. He was leaving a lot of people in limbo. But I just think stuff like that really sticks out to me. I just think those factors, I mean, for how long he also played the game, but he also had a lot of success too. I mean, he just got passed up by Drew Brees for the most passing yards, or Peyton Manning, and then Drew Brees, of course. I mean, this guy has just definitely done a lot. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, for a guy who did retire at the time of his career, he was number 1 on the passing list, but now he is 4th overall, with, of course, number 1 being Drew Brees at 70,416 yards. And you got Tom Brady not too far off behind. He's at 74,570 1. So nearly like 3,000 to pass him up if you think about it. I mean, safe to say if you round it up. But what do you guys speak of my list? Where you guys rank your top 5 NFL quarterbacks of all time? If you guys want to add Steelers in there, why not? I'd like to hear your comments right there. Please feel free to leave in the comment section of this live stream video, or you can just even just tweet me up on Twitter at Project Richie, at MassSteelCJR, at OnDeckCSR, or you can even tag me on Instagram at MassSteelCJR, at Project Richie, at OnDeckCSR. And then you can also check me out on my YouTube live channel, MassSteel Podcast, Mixcloud, Charles Project Richie, which has all my podcasts for On Deck, and the MassSteel Podcast. And then all my other podcasts get shared on Anchor too for the 2 shows I just mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and give this show a close for today. But for everybody, thank you very much for taking the time to join you. And like I said, please, let's everybody practice just staying at home, stay patient. I hope everyone finds a way to be safe. Things will get better soon. And just like I said, if it's one thing right now, really puts a lot of values like who you got surrounding close to you. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I'm gone.